Now, this holiday season, I'll be giving thanks to our good friends at Manscaped. Everyone loves a bit of turkey and stuffing at Christmas, myself included, but you'll look like an absolute dessert with Manscaped's Performance Package 4.0. The leaders in the below-the-belt grooming topic have blessed you with some excellent Thanksgiving dinner. Imagine talking about this over the table. What a treat. I think it's time to give thanks to the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0, and it's got so much in it, I'm going to have to get my phone up to read everything out. So you've got the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant. I never knew I needed that, but apparently I do. Crop Revival toner, Performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag. A travel bag as well. What a bargain. Not to mention the 4,000K Spotlight LED, lights it up like a Christmas tree, and it's waterproof, so feel free to use it in the shower. Then there's the Weed Whacker with a 9,000 RPM motor for all the hairs up your nose and all the hairs in your ears, all right? This is a problem for me in particular, all right? And the amount of times I've had to pull hairs out of my nose, it kills. This is a much better solution, I think. It won't make me cry like I usually do. So get 20% off with free shipping with the code LASTLAP at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping. LASTLAP, manscaped.com. Be thankful this holiday season for the best gift from Manscaped. Your balls will thank you. Now back to the podcast.
All right, you lot, don't forget to give us a follow on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And while you're at it, give us a 5-star rating. Trust me, it really does help us out.
The Hamilton-Alonso beef casserole. Which, it's not the first time this year they've come to.
These two come together.
The whole Belgium incident.
Half of the year.
Yeah.
This quarter.
That's what I mean. And I thought they kind of buried it there. This is based off quotes that have been attributed allegedly, because I haven't verified it myself. I haven't personally looked at the account, but I've heard it's all been going on. And for Lewis to respond to it, it must be like fairly legit. Basically, Fernando's saying that Max's titles mean more than Lewis's because he's had to work for them harder, allegedly. How do we feel about these comments? Before whether it's kind of whether Fernando's in Lewis's head or vice versa, however people want to look at it.
True.
Like, do we agree with any of that sentiment at all?
It is mad that like Lewis and Alonso since 2007 have just had this like back and forth all the time. Like whenever one does anything, the other.
I feel like they'll retire and go pub together. Though. This is the great thing.
I think after 15 years, they'd bury the hatchet.
Yeah. They should or just make like an energy drink together, call it like Trine or something.
Tried and tested that as well.
Yeah, Trine. Logan Paul KSI.
I think surely it's bullshit. Like that them two mean more than it's bullshit. It I believe that to be fact. Then you can just pick apart everything. Every championship means a hell of a lot. And if you were going to do a weight, say they're both weighed 7 and 2, I don't think the 2 wins, right?
Yeah.
So I think when we're talking about is it before we're talking about the funniness of it, is it actually correct? Definitely fucking not.
Yeah.
I think it feels like, because it's come from Fernando Alonso as well, if you were going to pick one driver on the grid who you think would say it, it's going to be Fernando Alonso.
100%. Valtteri Bottas never say
that's
that.
what I mean. If it would have come from Valtteri Bottas, it'd have been like, whoa.
You were involved, mate. So what's going on here?
But Fernando Alonso chucks something out on the radio or something out to the press pretty much every weekend. He just loves stirring the pot, does Fernando. And I feel like this was just another opportunity. He was like, who's just won a championship? Max Verstappen's won a championship. Who do I not really like? Lewis Hamilton. Max Verstappen means more than Lewis Hamilton. He's just like...
What's your opinion?
To be fair, it's kind of obviously, on the face of it, a title is a title. But it is quite an interesting discussion of quite a few of Lewis's titles came against a teammate that was never anywhere near him. In terms of sorry, Valtteri. But if we're being honest, Valtteri's only won 9 Grand Prix in total, right?
No, he's above 10. He's above 10.
Is he above 10?
Yeah.
It's not as many as it should be.
It's not as many as it should be for 4 seasons in a Mercedes. However many. But yeah, so I kind of get it from an ease perspective. So obviously Max's first title against Lewis Hamilton in a car that was pretty close together, maybe even a Mercedes that was better on paper, whatever. But then this season, Max's title's been pretty easy. I know he's obviously won a lot of races, but Ferrari have thrown away races where they shouldn't have done. Sergio has never really been in a position to challenge him regularly. So you've got one title, yep, sure, he had to work quite hard for it. And you've got one here that he could have done in his sleep. You look at Lewis's, yeah, fine, there was the Bottas days, but there's also his first title, which he had to work very hard for in 08, winning that on the final race of the season in Brazil.
This is what I mean, like, points never tell the full story. This championship, this 2022, will be looked back on, and we're already talking about it as like Red Bull, Verstappen dominance. Well, yes, that's how the points reflect it, but actually the Ferrari car has been very close to Red Bull, if not quicker at the start of the season.
Oh, yeah, it literally
that
was.
will be forgotten. And this is the thing, like, when we're talking about seasons and reflecting, like when we talk about, I don't know, like Schumacher 2003, it's like, you have to actually look past the points sometimes. Like the amount of times like Montoya would get really close, but then like, the Williams would blow up or whatever. Like there's way more. If you want to actually like break these championships down, like there is more. And it's definitely like waffle from Alonso, no doubt. Like,
We're just summarising it there and then.
It is, but to be fair, credit Alonso. He came out afterwards and basically tweeted saying, "Please, all the titles are amazing, well deserved, and inspiring, incomparable to each other," which is true. "And let's enjoy champions and legends of the current time. Tired of continuous search for headlines." But then he's
bottled it.
He did.
He shit his pants.
He's seen 270k likes in the Lewis tweet. He's like, oh,
By a photo, no caption.
He got ratioed
Yeah.
so bad.
He went, I didn't really mean it though, did I?
But that's kind of what happened at Spa as well.
Yeah.
Because he was like, "Oh, Lewis only wins from the front," and then they kind of memed it, and then they were like friends afterwards.
But that also feels so Alonso, doesn't it? Like when he just takes it back at the end, he's like, "No, actually, don't worry."
But also, this is what kind of ultimately as well. Like for me, it's just not that deep.
Yeah, 1,000.
Like it's and like people take it so because people like feel this. Oh, I'm a Verstappen or a Hamilton or a Alonso or a Norris or whoever fan, like any driver, and like, oh, I've got to like defend them, and I've got to like. Mate, I'm sure it's not that deep, and like people go way too overboard in like defending the dignity of their like
it's your
their honor.
perspective as well, isn't it? Like if you look at say like the Mercedes dominance era, if you're a Hamilton fan, you look at that and you're like, yeah, Hamilton won back to back to back titles, was so dominant for that entire time. If you're a Sebastian Vettel fan, you probably think of the couple of seasons where Sebastian Vettel like looked like he might have a chance, or like if you're a Charles Leclerc fan this season, you look at the points and you're like, oh, how is Charles Leclerc so far off? I've really thought Charles Leclerc had a chance at the beginning of the season, like many did.
Things went slightly differently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, as you say, the points don't tell the whole story. And when we look back at it in 20 years' time, we're going to see Max Verstappen, 14, possibly 16 wins, more points in a season than anybody has ever got, possibly the best win percentage of anybody. And the points are going to point towards Max Verstappen having technically the best season of anyone, where it doesn't really tell the whole picture.
No.
Yeah, I think that's completely right, because it's like when it's just hard to kind of like, because the statement he said, okay, is like such a strong statement, isn't it? Yeah. And I think when you're saying it's not too deep, if Lewis believed, he doesn't, but if he believed in 1% that his 7 titles didn't mean as much as what they should have, he probably would have had the notes page out, full paragraph, because he knew it wasn't deep. He was like, you know what, bang, photo of me above Alonso.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. So it literally, why would you get like fighting for Lewis when Lewis isn't even fighting it himself?
I do think it is a bit, I don't know. This is what I mean. Like we're kind of commenting and we're all talking about a relationship between two human beings who know each other, like have known each other for 15 years, and they've got their, and like not everyone gets along. Like it's fine. It's kind of like the whole, well actually this is another interesting point, like Gasly and Ocon. So like there's, for anyone who doesn't know, Gasly and Ocon grew up together in kind of north of France, karted together. They'd have dinner at each other's like parents' houses. Like they were really close growing up. They both made it to F1. They're going to be teammates next year. But then they had some incidents on track. There's so many rumours of Le Beef. That's good.
Le Beef, yeah.
Le Beef. It's just sweet beef. And obviously going into next year, there's a lot of like... There's a lot of talk of like, will they be able to like get along? Will they be able to park it? Like any potential beef in the future. I mean, do we have like a strong opinion on that either? Because it's only really been spoken about from Pierre's point of view. So it would be interesting to hear Esteban's kind of perspective on it all. But looking at the Alpine announcement, they seemed all happy families, right?
Yeah.
Like, will that work next year?
I feel like they'll park it just because of where they are in the standings. Like if Alpine were right at the top and it was Ocon and Gasly fighting for a title, similar to what we saw with Hamilton and Rosberg.
That
blow
is
up.
going
Then-
supernova.
Yeah,
mate.
then it would just be like the worst thing that
They're just
Alpine could
at
have
each
done.
other's throats on Twitter. They're just like beefing each other on Twitter.
During the race.